We tend to think of ancient folk tales as, well, just simple bedtime stories. But what if they're actually these brilliant, complex lessons hiding in plain sight? Today, we're going to unpack 3 incredible stories from the Panchatantra, and trust me, you'll be pretty surprised at how modern and relevant their wisdom still feels.
Just think about that for a second. The one thing that makes you special is also the very thing that could completely ruin your life. Now, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's the real, messy dilemma right at the heart of our very first story.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with a guy who can literally see the future. Then we'll meet another man who gets into an argument with death itself. And finally, we'll get into a story about a giant misunderstanding. And at the end, we'll tie all these incredible lessons together.
So let's jump right in with Ram Lal. This man has an unbelievable ability. Every full moon, his dreams predict the future with 100% accuracy. Sounds pretty amazing, right? Well, for Ram Lal, it's been an absolute disaster.
See, the problem was, whenever Ram Lal foresaw something bad and tried to warn people, they'd just blame him for the bad news. They thought he was bad luck, so nobody would hire him. He couldn't get a job anywhere. And this put him in an impossible spot: steal food to feed his family and face execution, or do nothing and watch them starve. It's this exact choice that lands him in front of the king, King Vikram.
And what's so fascinating is how Ram Lal's curse suddenly flips and becomes a blessing for the entire kingdom. Once he's working for the king, his dreams are invaluable. First, he warns of a surprise enemy invasion. Then he unmasks a traitorous general right there in the court. And get this, he even foresees an ambush where enemies plan to ritually sacrifice the king. He saves the king's life not once, not twice, but 3 separate times.
But then, things take a devastating turn. Ram Lal has a dream that the king's most trusted minister is going to die of a heart attack in 10 days. So, he does what he always does. He gives a warning. But the minister becomes so overwhelmed with fear, so terrified of this prediction, that he has a fatal heart attack right then and there. In trying to prevent a tragedy, Ram Lal's warning actually caused it, leading to 2 deaths, because the minister's wife died from the shock as well.
And this moment perfectly captures the story's deep moral. King Vikram, seeing the immense danger of this power, gives Ram Lal a huge fortune, but banishes him from the kingdom forever. He gets it. He understands that while knowing the future saved his own life, for most people, it's a burden just too heavy to carry. Some things are better left unknown.
Okay, so for our next story, we're taking a hard left turn. We're shifting from the heavy weight of fate to a surprisingly funny story about a man who just refuses to accept his fate, all because of what was basically a cosmic typo.
So meet Karan. It's his birthday, he's having a perfectly good day, and then, boom, he dies. He gets to the afterlife, and the great bookkeeper, Chitragupta, is checking his files and realizes, uh-oh, there's been a huge mistake. Turns out Yamaraj, the god of death, was supposed to pick up a different Karan from a completely different village. So the gods are like, whoops, our bad, no problem, we'll just pop your soul right back where it belongs. But when Yamaraj gets back to Earth, he finds out Karan's family has already cremated his body. It's gone. They offer to put his soul in a new body, but Karan? Oh no, he's not having it. He digs in his heels and demands his original body back, creating an absolute bureaucratic nightmare for the gods. And the solution they come up with is just wild. Completely stumped by Karan's persistence, the gods decide on the most radical fix imaginable. They literally rewind time. They reset the entire universe to the moment right before his accident, wiping the whole mistake from existence. It's such a great lesson in accountability, right? When a system fails, you have to make it right, even if it means you have to bend reality to do it.
So we've gone from questioning fate to questioning the gods themselves. Now, our last story turns the focus inward and challenges our own perceptions. It asks a really simple question. When you see something, or someone, totally different from you, what do you really see?
This really gets to the heart of it. A poor woodcutter is chopping down a magical tree and gets accidentally zapped to a world of tiny people. From their point of view, a terrifying, world-destroying giant has just appeared out of nowhere. But from his point of view, he's just a lost, confused guy trying to figure out where in the world he is.
And you can see this clear path from fear to friendship. At first, the dwarfs react with total terror, shooting these tiny little arrows at him that basically just bounce off. But then, one brave dwarf, a guy named Samir, decides to choose curiosity over fear. He actually approaches the monster. And that single act of bravery changes everything. It leads to an alliance, and when a real monster attacks their world, the woodcutter easily defeats it, becoming their protector.
In the end, of course, the dwarves realize just how wrong they were. The moral here is so clear. Our fear of the unknown can make us see monsters where there are only friends. It tells us that true character has nothing to do with what you look like on the outside, it's all about your actions. And sometimes all it takes is one person to look past the surface to change everyone's mind.
So we've got three really different stories here, right? One about fate, one about fighting the system, and one about perception. So what happens when we pull them all together? What bigger truths do they show us?
This lays it all out pretty clearly. Ramlal's story teaches us that sometimes not knowing is a gift. Karan's story, on the other hand, tells us to stand up for ourselves and question authority, even when that authority is divine. And the woodcutter's story is a powerful reminder to always challenge our own first impressions.
And this is the real magic of it all. The Panchatantra doesn't give you a neat little list of rules for how to live. It presents life in all its messy, complicated, and contradictory glory. One story suggests ignorance is bliss, while the very next one says you should fight for the truth no matter what. It shows that sometimes it's wise to accept our limits, and other times it's absolutely essential that we fight to change things.
Which leaves us with one final big question. What are these stories really telling us to do? Are we supposed to be more like Ramlal, who ultimately accepts his destiny? Or should we be more like Karan, who literally argues with the universe until it admits it was wrong? And the genius is, the stories don't give you the answer. They just give you the wisdom and trust you to figure it out for yourself.